The Dust Bowl by Hannah Barnell. In the 1930s, very little rain fell, resulting in widespread crop failure. It sent storms of dust across the land, and these gigantic dust storms lasted for 5 years. 100 million acres of farmland was turned into wasteland. Modern farming methods contributed to the Dust Bowl. Mechanical farming equipment, which have made farming easier, encouraged farmers to clear huge plots of land. They removed the native grasses along with the sod formed by the grass roots. This layer, however, had held the dry plain soil in place, and when the rains fell, the rootless soil blew away like powder. Most people call these huge dust storms black blizzards because they made noon seem like midnight. Black blizzards buried fences, seeped into houses, and killed people and animals. If the Dust Bowl wasn't enough, Black Sunday hit on April 14, 1935. It was the day during the time of the Dust Bowl, and people saw sun and went outside to do chores and go to church. In the mid-afternoon, a black cloud came quickly. The cloud was full of dust. It was the last major dust storm of the year. It was like any other storm except harder. It destroyed 5 million acres of wheat. Families on the road tried to seek shelter, and they were in the dark for hours. During the Dust Bowl, things changed. Children had to start hearing their parents worry about money and food. Children would play with anything they could find, and the little kids had to do a lot of work if they lived on a farm. For example, they had to feed the animals and milk the cows. The bigger kids had to help their parents with the chores, like mowing the grass, making clothes, and anything else they could do. In the Dust Bowl, people had hard times getting food. Sometimes people with no homes went to public parks and ate there. Some parks had cooking areas where people could build fires. People would share with others, and some would bring a kettle for water. People would eat potatoes, hot dogs, or meat stew. When they would start eating, they had to put a plate over their drink so no dust would get in. During the Dust Bowl, farm life started to get very hard. With crops dying in bad soil, farmers could not produce enough food to live on or sell. They were unable to pay their shares to the landowners, and they were forced to leave the land with huge debts that they could not pay. Many ruined farm families abandoned their homes to seek work elsewhere. Most of the farm families headed west to California. California residents called them Okies because so many had come from Oklahoma. The migrant workers found conditions in California almost as miserable as the ones that they had left. They were unable to buy land, so they competed with local workers to pick crops at starvation wages. The government created a first-hand soil management agency to teach farmers on how to plant well. They hired many people who were unemployed to plant trees all over in order to alleviate the soil. The Resettlement Agency was established to help needy families move into government-planned communities. The Farm Security Administration was created in 1937 to help poor farmers, sharecroppers, tenant farmers, and migrant workers. The RA built 95 migrant camps housing 75,000 people between 1935 and 1942. The agencies also promoted soil conservation and offered emergency relief, rehabilitation loans, and purchase programs. $260 million were given in grants in the tenant purchase program alone. One dust storm reached the Atlantic Ocean. The Dust Bowl was a man-made natural disaster. The ecosystem released plagues of jackrabbits and grasshoppers. A newspaper gave the Dust Bowl its name. Dust storms created a lot of static electricity. The storms were deadly. The federal government paid farmers to plow under fields and butcher livestock. Few Okies were actually from Oklahoma. The Dust Bowl of the 1930s lasted about a decade. Its primary area of impact was on the southern plains. The northern plains were not so badly affected, but nonetheless, the drought, windblown dust, and agricultural decline were no strangers to the north. The agricultural devastation helped to lengthen the Depression, whose effects were felt worldwide. The movement of people on the plains was also profound.